Yeah, both my grandmas and two of my aunts got double mastectomies and died later on from breast cancer. And I'm 30 and I have the good insurance and it's still a fight to get the preventative tests. Yes. So just an FYI, this is the body segment. Friday, we're back on body segment. If you have even one family member who has had, say, breast cancer, cervical cancer, colon, rectal, that is going to increase your risk, obviously, but that means that you need to start doing preventative care. So you have to get tested, you have to get imaging, etc., before the average person does, because you are at a higher risk of getting one of those cancers, you know? Jaina Splinters, thank you for the raid, darling. Miss Splinter's raid. Welcome in, y'all. We are currently on the body segment where I was talking about how I went and got my pap smeared today, then found out I'm high risk for breast cancer, and so I have to go get full imaging, and then found out my insurance will probably try to not cover it. You know, it's funny because we just had that, I just told that story of when I called American Home Warranty for a month and a half straight. Every single day I would wake up. But at least you can get Viagra, you know? We got to count the wins. We do. Sometimes it's funny to me to like freak Will out a little bit. Not freak him out, but he's not been having a great time, I'll just say, in Michigan. And I thought I sent him a picture that was funny, and it was me with my legs with my feet in the stirrups. Right? It's just like it's a funny thing because your legs are just whoo. And he was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" I said, "It's just my annual pap smear." You know, getting a pap smear. Everything is on fucking fire. He's like, "Is the baby coming?" Yeah, it's coming right now. Also, Maya not knowing if she should get birth control or not being a woman seems so fun. Yes. So speaking of, I've been a little depressed today. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Today was one of these days I had where I just went, after I got back from my appointment, and I've just had women yelling at me because of something that I tweeted yesterday. And it always, like, I'm going to keep it a buck. I am so used to men saying vile things to me. Whatever. Okay. Men on the internet, fork found in kitchen. When it's women who say things, I'm like, girls, please, we are never getting out of hell. We are never getting out of hell. It's like Fiona Apple said, there's no hope for women, although she did later say there is hope for women because women are the hope. But when she was 20 in a really dark place and she was doing a photo shoot and they were like, be sexy. And she goes, there's no hope for women. Yeah, I was very frustrated. So I'd like to talk about this topic. Per usual, when something like this happens, I go, oh, this is a good conversation to have on stream. And I was telling my mom about this because I had to call her and get more. I'm like, hey, who else in our family has had cancer? And exactly, you know, just all the deets on that. Sorry, are they mad at you for defending that not every woman's body just bounces back? Yes, they are. And they're calling me an insecure, like, bitch, weirdo that I'm projecting. I'm like, okay. The very fact you are attributing a jealousy complex to me is evidence of exactly what I'm talking about. There are so many industries that make billions and billions of dollars off of driving women's insecurities, off of making mothers feel like they're not good enough. And that all falls under a patriarchal system that puts these expectations on women who become mothers that are fucking absurd and impossible. And I am so heartbroken hearing friends of mine who have had babies break down in tears because their bodies in like the first 6 months, mind you, first 6 months postpartum, they don't look like they did before they had a baby. And I'm like, you have to give yourself, you know, you birthed a human child. That is unbelievable. And you need to care for your mental and your physical health. Like, it's not the prioritization being on how women look, which a lot of times these changes happen internally, right? Like skeletal changes, women's feet change sizes, their teeth can fall. Like, I'm not trying to do, you know, horror stuff right now, but I just don't understand how this is another thing. Like when we were talking about Renee Rapp yesterday and how weirdos are still trying to say, oh, as a lesbian, you are saying a straight man is hot. You're clearly not gay. Like, you're faking it. How are we still on this? How are we still on this idea that women's bodies are, one, monolithic, two, not being that we're not all being fed a bunch of fucking bullshit, that we're not all buying into these myths and then perpetuating these really harmful standards? How do we not get this? Anyway, I jumped the gun a bit, but this is what I was responding to. And I just want to be clear. This was not me. So sometimes on the internet, like, this is how I work on the internet. A lot of times I just go, I'm not getting involved in this. But sometimes it's somebody's like something specifically they said that I am going to come at them for. And then other times there is something that is it's reinforcing something problematic. And so I go, hey, like, this is truly no disrespect to this person. This is not me coming for their fucking neck. This is me wanting to make a point about why this is a harmful standard that's being reinforced. So that was the case here. This person who said, dude, this is not even me trying to flex. I just genuinely don't understand how women's bodies do this. Okay, so it's a photo during pregnancy and then a photo after pregnancy, like, you know, looks very in shape, whatever. So it's okay. It's okay if you want to post a picture of yourself because you feel proud about yourself. I have no problem with that. All right, let me be clear. All right, let me be clear. You want to post a pic of yourself? Go for it. The other thing too, this person, I will guarantee you, put a lot of work into their body post-pregnancy, because that's the truth of it. Women are expected to look like they've had there's no evidence of a child, while also like not telling how much they've done, that it's just supposed to happen. Like, oop, bounce back. Oop, snatched again. Oop, look at that. Yeah, breastfeeding gave me my 6-pack back and lifted my breasts. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And the problem is that these insane expectations are put on mothers, or put on women who have had children, to get their bodies back and get them back fast, but also to do so in a natural way. And yet there's entire industries that make a lot of money off of targeting pregnant women and women who've just had birth. So the mommy makeover, for instance, there is an entire plastic surgery procedure like list that is colloquially called the mommy makeover. Whereas it's like you get dad bods, okay? Dad bods, everyone's like, woohoo, dad bod, which was, you know, the action bod of the 80s. And then there's been a kind of push to bring back the dad bod because everybody has 0% body fat now and they all look like Marvel superstars, like superheroes. But it's like we praise the dad bod, an average male body, right? The dad bod. And yet there's no allowance for a mom bod. No. It's the mommy makeover. You get tucked, you get lifted, you get just an entire, like it's waving a magic wand so that you return to your formerly hot self, and maybe even better this time. Maybe look even better than before you had children. Okay. So I don't know who this person is. I don't know what they did. But I I wrote this. I said, genuinely no disrespect to OP. And I hate that people have this assumption when they read anything online that somebody is being snarky, right? They read it in a snarky tone. So they are often snarky back. They're like, oh, you're being a snarky bitch. I'm gonna be a snarky bitch back to you. I'm like, I'm truly not. I'm truly not. Let me tell you, when I was typing this out in my head, it was genuinely no disrespect to OP, but plenty of women's bodies don't do this, and it perpetuates harmful myths around postpartum and bounce back culture, aka women expecting to not look like they ever gave birth in the first place. Also, there are changes that can be permanent and not all of them visible. Yeah. So that obviously didn't go over well with some people. And I can't believe that this conversation needs to be had, but I kind of feel that way about a lot of things. And here's the here's the thing of it, okay? Whether this person intended it or not, I'm not trying to read into their intentions. Whether they intended it or not, the language is reinforcing this standard that is harmful. It is harmful, and it is anything but the average experience. And that is a result of us all internalizing these things, right? Internalizing this idea that women's bodies just bounce back, or that they should bounce back. And that's just not the case. There's a reason why experts refer to postpartum as a second puberty. There's a term for it. It's called matrescence. So like adolescence, but matrescence. And it is the profound changes that a person undergoes when they give birth, from the psychological, the physiological, the physical, the emotional, the mental, everything. I think this is also a very important myth to dispel because of the high prevalence of postpartum, which is something that still there is such a lack of understanding over. Do you know how common postpartum is? There's also a spectrum of postpartum. Not everybody experiencing postpartum experiences, say, psychosis, but there are those who experience on the more extreme end of postpartum. And those are, say, the women who snap and may drown their child or leave their child in the car because they the child is crying and something shatters in their brain and they literally black out. And then they go about their day and forget that they left their kid in the car. Those are on the more extreme ends, but postpartum is so common because of how much your body undergoes significant, profound changes. And it's not all bad, okay? It's not that all the changes are bad. And it's not that all changes are permanent, but sometimes they are. And they're just these narrow standards and expectations are so distressing. There are a lot of women in postpartum, which is the most vulnerable experience you will have, who are so preoccupied on the way that they look and needing to look better rather than on how they feel mentally and physically. As far as the physical, being able to regain your strength after going through something that is very hard on the body. And then mentally, just so much that you contend with. And it's no, forget about all that. No, that doesn't matter. And no, we're not going to support you. Nope. Sorry. No support, both just on a societal level, on a governmental, nothing, absolutely nothing. And instead, you need to look hot. Okay. If you look like you had a baby, bad. That is bad. It doesn't help that there are a lot of mothers who are not properly supported, whether that be interpersonally or financially or professionally. Yes. And I have spent I have spent a lot of time recently on subreddits, one of which is like new moms or pregnant, expecting, like stuff like that. And the amount of posts, not okay, not because I'm pregnant, but because this is something I've wanted to talk about on stream. And so I just kind of found myself like really, getting really deep in these subreddits because there's commonalities, right? There are through lines. And one thing that I saw over and over again was were posts that would say like, has anyone else experienced this? They never told me that this would happen. No one ever told me. I didn't know. I feel like alone. Is this normal? And it's this like real feeling of isolation, a feeling of being so overwhelmed, being not supported, not knowing what to expect, because our society, in its conservatism, in its goals for women to give birth to children, to be wives and mothers, they have the incentive to be like, yeah, what? Like it's hard. Just who have a baby, have 10 babies. It's easy. There's like, this is low key reactionary coded. It's low key reactionary coded, whether this person means it or not, to be like, it's so crazy that women's bodies just do this. You have a baby and then you just like are hot again. You have like your stomach extends 10 inches and then whoo, you have abs. Like I'm even skinnier than I was before. It is low key, not even low key. It's reactionary coded. So unrealistic, and also pushing this notion that pregnancy, childbirth, and being a mother in our society is chill. It's easy. No big deal. It's great. It's beautiful. It's a miracle, the gift of life. It's the most wonderful thing in the world. And people are not being properly, they're not properly prepared. They're not properly educated, informed. They are not financially supported. They're not emotionally supported. There is just an insane lack of support. And one of the other things in these subreddits, one of the other things that I noticed, because of course, is a through line of feeling financially stressed out and emotionally unsupported. Just a lack of infrastructure. Total feeling of being overwhelmed. And overwhelmed because now you have a child and now you're expected to raise that child perfectly. And now, life is very expensive already, and worrying about how you're going to financially make this possible. And then having to, like, for a lot of women, the expectation to make dinner for their husband, and maybe they have other kids, or just the domestic labor, the unpaid domestic labor that they are expected to, expected as their output. And then feeling like they also are experiencing so many emotional and mental issues that they've internalized the shame of. Straight up, women learning about postpartum depression through these subreddits. That is so heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking to read other women who have had babies like explain to women in these posts what postpartum depression is, and be like, it's very normal. Here's what I suggest. Like, it's beyond, I told you today I've had a depressing day. It's just all around. And then having women call me strange and weird and jealous, and that I'm projecting. And I'm like, no. How can you not understand that we are never changing these deeply entrenched issues in our society if we're looking at people like me and going, you're just a jealous bitch? The very fact that a jealousy complex is a reality because it is manufactured under a patriarchal capitalist system. that there are so many industries that market diet plans to new mothers, that market plastic surgery to women who have had children, like specifically so much marketing around how women can get their bodies back. The way that the media emphasizes celebrity women who, look at her, she had a baby 5 minutes ago and she's got her six pack still. And when a woman has not lost the weight in 5 seconds, she's an exception, right? She's more of an anomaly, because what's normal is to lose your baby weight in the minute after you've had the baby. And so it's the way that the media also influences people's understanding of all things in life. So when the media puts so much emphasis on celebrity women, wow, she doesn't even look like she's had a baby, she bounced back faster than ever. When that is the rhetoric, when that is the emphasis, then what the message is that is what all women are expected to be like. And most women, first of all, don't have the resources that celebrity women have, because they're celebrities, they're rich, they're famous. Someone like Kylie Jenner has an entire team, probably just to handle one child, let alone the other one. I don't know how many she has, but you know what I'm saying. It's why Cardi's saying put me in a faja right after giving birth was harmful. And the thing is that we all internalize this stuff. And my point always is that we have to work at uninternalizing this, at deconditioning ourselves. And it doesn't mean that like overnight we're going to go, oh, hold on, I am no longer participating in this, because this is every single day we are inundated with this stuff telling us that we are not good enough in whatever many ways. And it is to sell us stuff. It is to create power dynamics. It is to continue in perpetuity these unbelievably impossible standards, say for women who become mothers, become pregnant, even pregnant women, the like, oh no, I'm showing I'm so big. And then the praise given to women who barely show. I'm like, holy fucking shit. That person is growing a human child inside of them. And we are emphasizing how big or how small they look. What the fuck? We all got to deconstruct. We do. And look, we live in society. We participate in things to varying degrees. But what's important is like we start to understand all these standards and how they are, like the mechanisms of reinforcing them, you know? And it's just, I think every time women, accuse me of being jealous, accuse me of being insecure, or, that I'm projecting, it's like, you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing that I am trying to call out. The fact that women are pitted against women from the moment that we are girls, that pregnant women compare themselves to other pregnant women, that mothers are never good enough, that they are never good enough, that you are expected to be perfect, but that perfection is unattainable, that society loves to condemn the bad mothers. We love to hate women, but we especially love to hate women who have children. They don't even know you haven't given birth. It doesn't matter though, It's like, oh, the assumption of this woman is saying something about this woman who looks great after having a baby. She's clearly, you know what it also is? It's fat phobia. Like our culture is so goddamn fat phobic. They're like, it's the assumption that, oh, because she's skinny, right? She's ripped and abs. You must be fat. You must be at least fatter than her. So clearly you're jealous. It's the same. I mean, honestly, what actual fat activists, right, like influencers have to deal with whenever they are bringing up these, making these cultural points. It is so grotesque. Like, don't ever go in the comment section. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, it is some of the most vitriolic abuse, just of men, women, accusing them of being jealous. And that's why, like, they want to make everyone fat, yada, yada, yada. In society, you can be forgiven for any atrocity except for being fat. Yeah. It's also assuming that her body is the goal. Exactly. It's assuming that her body is the goal and that I am a jealous, insecure loser who saw this woman post a photo of herself and be proud about it. And it's like, okay, if she had posted this photo of herself and was like, I'm feeling really proud of myself, great. It's the language she used. Dude, this is not even me trying to flex. I just genuinely don't understand how women's bodies do this. They don't. They don't. Even for women who say her look like this after having a child, this might be years later and a lot of work. It is a lot of work, from dieting, working out, plastic surgery. I'm not attributing any of these necessarily to her. I don't know her, but that is the truth of it. And I have had a lot of girlfriends who have had babies, multiple babies at this point. And I'm telling you over and over again, I have heard them break down, which is normal, right? Like, okay, you've had a baby, you get a breakdown, but it's specific what they're breaking down over. And then how many of them had already planned their mommy makeovers, even when they were having babies in their 20s, right? Having babies in their 20s, and they're like, well, I need to look snatched again. I need to look ready for Vegas, like type shit. And like, even my friends who are genetically thin, like thin bodied, after they had a baby, were just furiously trying to get back to where they were before they had a baby. And there are changes that are permanent. There are permanent changes. Not all of them are visible. And I just want us to understand that this is the reality. And there is so much about postpartum that we are lacking in education, lacking in funding, lacking in support, lacking in all aspects. And yet we demand that women have babies. We demand that they become mothers, because being a mother is the most cherished thing, except we don't cherish them because we don't support them. You know, it's amazing how our society emphasizes the mother as the as the greatest being, and yet we treat mothers like fucking trash. Yeah, my sisters both are having a hard time getting their body back from Pudge purgatory. And I am not I will never say like, no, don't have children. I am concerned with childbirth, having pregnancy being a choice, like truly a choice. And for a lot of women, it's not. Like, it's not actually an informed choice. And ultimately, the goal should be that people who have children fully choose to do so, that they are thoroughly supported in that. And we don't have either of those things. Let's be real, healthcare for women still massively sucks. Yes, this conversation started off with me saying I'm high risk for breast cancer. I have to go get full imaging. And my doctor said, just be prepared. Your insurance is probably going to try to not cover your MRI and your mammogram, which will cost thousands of dollars, because a lot of other patients who are in the same boat as you, where they have to get imaging earlier than 40, which is when they say, like, if you're not high risk, then that's when you can get imaging. They're like, be prepared for insurance to not cover that because you're 33 and they don't care that you're high risk. And so they're like, die, then die. What do you want us to do? What do you expect? What do you expect from us? As a man, I see it in the workplace. Men are always asking women to have kids, but when they do, they start to complain that women should not have maternity leave because it's not fair for men, or that women who worry because of the reality of losing out on a promotion or getting passed over for something or getting fired or whatever reasons, that they will hide pregnancies. They will take as fast of maternity leaves as they can. But then the other thing too is like the lack of paternity leave. Like there should be universal leave. There should be universal childcare. I fully believe in both mothers and fathers receiving parental leave. Like if you are a parent, you should have paid leave and we should have universal fucking childcare. You want your society to have children in the richest country in the world? Fucking pay for it. Support the people who you are demanding have children. Fucking pay for it. My God. Yes, or people who still have to pay thousands of dollars for the actual birth itself. Ooh. Oh, now I'm pissed. Oh, now I am pissed. Okay, I wanted to. Oh, shit. Did I put all my stupid... I think I did. Hold on a second. I think I put all my videos I wanted to watch today in a different playlist, and I don't know what one that is. Let me find. Did I put it all in the Brenda Fricker playlist? Maybe I did. Sorry, Brenda Fricker playlist. You are having videos that have nothing to do with Brenda Fricker. Cabbage Spilla, thank you for the tier 1. Pepe, thank you for the 47 months. M Palace, thank you for the 12. Millennial Engineer, thank you for the tier 1. Euphoric Acoustic, thank you for the 27 months. Tana, thank you for the 5. Lil Squiddles, thank you for the 5 months. I was so freaking mad when I heard about Brenda. Oh, man. In the last week, we have lost Bonnie Tyler. Total eclipse of the heart, and I need you now tonight. We have lost Sam Neill. And we have lost Brenda Fricker, who we will talk about later, but not right now. Anon, thank you for the 5 gifteds. Mando Ewok, thank you for the 5 gifteds. Even when Lindsey Graham dies, he still manages. I know. Like, this is what I mean by it's unbalanced, y'all. It's unbalanced. And maybe that's a reminder that there are more good people in the world. Maybe that's the reminder that we need. The reason that it seems that more people die who are not evil than those dying who are evil is a reminder. It's because there's more good people in this world, more people who have added value than not. But also because evil never dies. I'm going to become evil and balance the scales. Josh, no. Please, we can't handle that. It'll be too much. The world will end. I am going to make an environment that is so evil. Please. Please, no. All right. Let's watch this video. Why women are choosing to be child-free. And the thing is that this is not just like pressures that new mothers internalize. It's actually dangerous to their health because, again, after like postpartum, it is such a vulnerable time. And in not prioritizing actual getting like returning your strength, returning, taking care of your mental, because also that is not supported, right? It's for a lot of women, they don't have access to the support they need. But in addition to that, it is the emphasis on aesthetics. It is the emphasis on, say, losing fat, on getting your bod snatched again, on bouncing back, bounce back. And this is where we as individuals have a responsibility. So we, without realizing it, reinforce these standards every day. When we tell someone who just had a baby, oh my God, you bounced back so quickly. Oh my God, doesn't even look like you were ever pregnant. That is reinforcing those harmful standards. So this is where like being aware and being aware of the language we use is important. I have a friend who's scared of pregnancy. Yes, because that's a reality too. People who are scared of becoming pregnant and having babies because they're so terrified of what will happen to their bodies. And they're so terrified that they will irreparably change and that it's all going to be bad. And so they are terrified to have children, where, let me just say, it is reasonable to have concerns. I'm not saying that you should not go into it and not, make sure that you are as informed as you can be. But there's a difference between being informed, having reasonable concerns, and then internalizing these fears over your body changing so significantly that you will like be it's like some moral failure. This also has led to skyrocketing C-section rates even when not indicated or necessary. Yes. And then women who, oh God, I mean, that's a whole other kind of subgenre here. Women whose husbands end up like cheating on them or leaving them because they don't want to have sex. And it's like, she just had a fucking baby. Pushing them to get, I can't remember the exact term, but when they sew up when they sew your vagina. The husband stitch. The fact that we have procedures that we have these fuck ass names for procedures, husband stitch. I don't know if y'all saw this new thing, alpine divorce, where it's men who leave their girlfriends, partners, wives on hiking trails or doing an outdoor activity and they leave them. There's now a term called alpine divorce. I'm like, oh, we got a term for that. Oh, we got a little colloquial saying. Oh, you mean a woman who actually died because her boyfriend did that and he had done that to another girl he had dated? He had a history of it and he did that to his girlfriend and she fucking died. Okay, that's a whole other thing. Let me stay focused. This is Khadijah's video, why more women are choosing to be child-free. And now let me go into this saying, I am not pressuring anybody to have children or not have children. You know my position. It's all about providing the support systems. It's all about making it easier for people if they choose to have children. It's about people who choose to have children actually consenting to it actually making that choice and not doing it because for whatever reasons they feel that they have to.
Earlier this year, the CDC reported that there was a declining birth rate in the United States, in Canada as well.
So conservatives are freaking out too, because for the first time in I don't even know how long, women over 40 are having, it's like a higher pregnancy rate with women over 40 than teenage girls. And conservatives are like, oh, we got to put a stop to that. We need teens getting knocked up again. That's not good. We can't be having Anne Hathaways. We can't be having women over 40 having higher birth rates than teenage girls. No, no, no.
There was also a report that the birth rate had been declining. These reports always talk about how birth rates kind of climb and go down and kind of go up and down.
Thank you for the 17 months. I'm one of these women, got my tubes out in 2023. It was the greatest decision I ever made. Felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders that wasn't even, I didn't even realize was there as a literal tangible freedom. It should be always about the freedom to choose. That is my position. I believe that we should all be free to choose what we desire with our bodies, with our lives. Chemical Pie, thank you for the tier 1.
But it's been steadily declining for the last few decades.
I am choosing to get pregnant.
And it's not just Canada and the US. Lots of wealthy countries are reporting that their fertility rates are just taking a nosedive. And the girlies are...
In honor of the birth rate declining, I would like to share 10 reasons why you should not have kids.
Girl, fuck them kids and fuck you too.
They're super upset about it. We're devastated that we can't bring a child into this tumultuous, turmoil-filled hellhole, literally rotting from the inside out. We're so sad about it. Anyway, for those of you that don't know what the clip was that I used at the very beginning, that's a scene from Insecure, Issa Rae's show, where she finds out that her ex that she cheated on, girl, we can't even talk about Issa's character in that show, but anyway, her ex that she cheated on got some other girl pregnant, and she was meeting the baby. She didn't actually obviously throw the baby in the garbage. It was a dream sequence. But when I first saw that scene, I was like, we're allowed to depict this? We're allowed to just throw babies in the garbage now? This what? I was a bit shocked, and I thought it was hilarious though. So between that clip, hearing about this declining birth rate and tons of girls online talking about it, and notice
I kind of have this theory that they rolled back Roe versus Wade as a method to give women and girls to have babies against their will to handle low birth. That's not a theory. That's exactly why they did it. It's about power and control. It's about controlling women's bodies. It's about denying women bodily autonomy, like denying trans people bodily autonomy. It's about controlling our bodies, thereby controlling our lives, our choices. Yeah, no, that's just the fact. Yeah. And it's why there's been this kind of movement, I will say, a lot of TikToks of women going, oh, you overturned Roe versus Wade. You're removing the ability to choose what we do with our bodies. Great. Not having kids. Go fuck yourself. Oh, you're pushing us into having children. Not going to do it. Go fuck yourself. It is this outright rejection, not just related to the overturning of Roe versus Wade, but in general, the rise of fascism, the denial of liberties and autonomy.
At least for myself, that in a lot of horror movies that I watch lately, it's fuck them kids for real. Like, it used to be kind of sacred in a way to depict a child being harmed on television or in cinema. As we push the envelope more and more, people are like, who fucking cares? And the kids can get it too, even if they're not actually obviously putting children in harm on set. But girl, all of this got me thinking, wow, we really said fuck them kids. And I want to unpack some of the reasons why some of us are saying fuck them kids. Mainly the reasons why I'm saying fuck them kids, and maybe those might resonate with y'all. Okay, let's get into it.
Boys, we're giving away toys again. And by we, I mean me and Balessa. We're setting up.
Also, can we talk about the old crusty dudes in the news who are talking about the world ending because the pregnancy rates of 15 to 18-year-olds has dropped? Yeah, I love when old crusty men are devastated, expressing their devastation that teenage girls are not having babies. Love it. Also, just to kind of sidebar here, don't know if y'all saw this. Yeah, I know exactly. It's Jesse Waters. I know he is truly a human shit stain, but this still pulled me up short. And I went, oh, that is truly Fox News is just pro-rape.
You lose your endurance, muscle mass. So yeah, I want these guys on it. But you know what's going to happen? The guys that don't need it are going to take it to triple boost.
Right.
And then they're going to get out there. And women on base, you guys better be careful. Port calls, women in Asia, you better.
So yeah, he's saying women, you're going to be raped. Watch out. Ha 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 ha. If you don't know the context to this, Pete Hegseth, you know, that rapist Nazi, he wants more macho military. So they are going to start testing military members' testosterone levels. And if they are not high enough, then they're going to give them hormone therapy, which is so funny. So funny because these same motherfuckers are trying to deny trans people the ability to have hormone therapy, gender affirming care. Isn't that so crazy? It's like, oh, gender affirming care for me, but not for thee. It's so fucked. So fucked. And they are going to be promoting they're promoting and expanding public access to testosterone replacement therapies. They are paying for it too. Oh my God. Oh, Wakey Wilder, thank you for the raid. I'm just having a laugh. I'm having a laugh over the U.S. military that is now going to be testing testosterone levels of service members. And if they are below where they should be as macho men, then they are going to be giving them hormone therapy. They're going to be giving them testosterone. Yeah. And then here's Jesse Waters talking about
muscle mass. So yeah, I want these guys on it. But you know what's going to happen? The guys that don't need it are going to take it to triple boost.
Right.
And then they're going to get out there. And women on base, you guys better be careful. Port calls, women in Asia, you better be careful. Because these guys are going to be wild animals, and you better watch out.
Okay.
Low T.
You should have held his hand.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would have.
The pause after that, as they're all like, okay, we still need to laugh. Because that's what we do here on Fox News. We love rape here on Fox News. And then him just smiling like,
Okay.
Low T.
You should have held his hand.
he's like, isn't that hilarious? Mass rape. It's awesome. The fact too that he specifically mentions Asian women. Yeah. Because I don't know, maybe of the history of service members of the military raping women in Asia, places that they colonized, that they were, that they were bombing, that they were doing very violent things to, which includes the rape of women and girls. Yeah. Yeah, so the fact that he specifically mentioned, watch out, Asia, women in Asia, watch out. You know our history there. You think history is done? You think history is the past? You think history is the past? Please. These men are going to be so hopped up on tea. They are going to be raping like American military men have never raped before. Comfort women. Yes. The history of comfort women in, say, Japan. I mean, it is... It is linked to, obviously, a topic I talk about a lot, which is the fetishization, the orientalizing, the exoticizing of Asian women, attributing hypersexual, but also, you know, innocent lotus flower type qualities to Asian women. Yeah. I want to see him in the ring with 20 angry women. Yeah, I'll be one of them. I'll be one of them. So that's what's happening over on Fox News. In case you were wondering. Yeah, just advocating for mass rape and laughing about it. In America, on the biggest cable news network show, they laugh about American service members, male American service members taking a bunch of testosterone because the Nazi rapist Secretary of War now says everyone needs to have super high T in order to be macho. And so that's what's going to be happening. And then they are going to rape women. That's America. Making America rape again. Not that America ever stopped, please. America is the biggest rapist on this planet. Yeah, here's the Pete Hegseth
You are pushed
announcement.
to your absolute physical and mental limits to master the profession of arms. We demand your all, and you give it. But while we invest heavily in our weapon systems, platforms, and gear, our most decisive tactical advantage will always be the individual warfighter. We have a sacred duty to maintain that advantage, which is why we must constantly look for new ways to optimize your performance, your resilience, and your long-term health. And to meet that commitment today, I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best. Because it's well-established science that as we age, testosterone levels often naturally drop.
Yeah, obviously, this is not surprising, but Pete Hegseth, as you remember, is the one who implemented the ban on transgender individuals serving, and for current transgender service members stopping their transition related medical care, denying them gender affirming care, and just overall the policies that this administration has enacted, has pushed, has promoted, and to then hear Pete Hegseth be like, yeah, we want to make sure that these military dudes, that they get the hormones that they need.
Under the supervision of our world-class
Someone called him
medical
Keg's
professionals.
breath. Oh yeah, don't forget, he's a fucking drunk.
Warfighters age 30 and older
No scurvy,
are
think
going
of
to be
7
tested
months.
annually as part of their periodic health assessment. It's a health assessment that happens every year. We're just adding this test. Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to get the test as well. If treatment is recommended, it's entirely your choice to receive testosterone replacement therapy. This initiative, it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities, protecting your longevity, and ensuring you have the biological foundation required to sustain the fight. We owe our warriors the absolute best medical care in the world, and this program delivers on that obligation. Taking care of your long-term health means ensuring you remain strong, resilient, and capable. Not just
Can we please not do the thing where we make fun of right-wing freaks by saying how they're just trans people? They're just like trans people and calling everything gender affirming care in a mocking way. What do we do to be compared? No, you misunderstand. No. There is not the comparison of trans people to rapist Nazi drunks like Pete Hegseth. The point is that whether it is plastic surgery, whether it is hormone replacement, that it is perfectly acceptable and also encouraged for cisgender people. It is gender affirming care. And it's important to point out that this is gender affirming care because it only gets considered that when it is trans individuals. Gender affirming care is gender affirming care. That's the irony here. Like, that's what's so absurd. So why is it when trans individuals, when trans folks are seeking gender affirming care, that is being outlawed, that is being denied. They are being denied the right to affirm their gender, and yet cis people do it all the fucking time. It is encouraged. It is acceptable. It is normalized. The plastic surgery industry has exploded. It's like 75% or something like that. Higher rates of plastic surgery, and that people are getting younger and younger, whether it's boob jobs, whether it's like men, whatever. Like, why is that okay and allowed for cis people, but not for trans people? And I'm trying to be sensitive here, and I just really hope that you or whoever else understands that pointing out all of these instances of gender affirming care for cis people, even when it is not called that, is a way to like remove also the stigma when trans people seek gender affirming care. They're also trying to forcibly detransition incarcerated trans people, which is super dangerous, especially for those who had surgery to remove ovaries or testicles and can't produce hormones on their own. It's the hypocrisy, right? It's the hypocrisy, and it's healthcare. That's the other thing. Gender affirming care is healthcare. And yet it is not considered that way. It is deeply, deeply hypocritical and to the exclusion of the trans community.
For your next deployment, but for the rest of your life, so you can thrive long after you take off the uniform. As we know, the modern battlefield is brutal and unrelenting. It requires and demands maximum psychological and
God. They just love they love this image of these big macho men in the military kicking ass and taking names. Just total LARPers, total fucking LARPers. Doctors give testosterone when there is a noticeable change as your body's unable to produce. This is going to produce problems long term, giving it to men who don't even have problems with producing. Yeah. They put me in the low T battalion at Marsh. They were crying about giving transgender operations to prisoners, but that's literally what, like, again, the point that I made earlier, I'm not. So trans people in the military who are being denied care, healthcare, being denied hormone treatments, like the absurdity, the absurdity of that being a reality. And then for cis military members, cis men in the military, being like, take this testosterone. Here you go. We're promoting this. We're gonna give this to you. We're paying for it, which is so stupid too. That's true. I've seen leftists use how I use gender affirming care embarrassing as an insult, similar to how it makes me uncomfortable when people make fun of right wingers for being fat or being gay. It just ends up with people catching strays. No, I understand and trust. The only reason I want to make that distinction is because I do think it's important to talk about how normalized gender affirming care is for cis people and the hypocrisy and the absurdity of denying trans people the right to affirm their gender. And I do get that online leftists can be very, very insensitive and unfortunately, in kind of trying to use internet humor or make jokes about things can actually end up hurting people who don't deserve it. No, I get that. Like, I'm very against mocking people for being fat because of the fact that that reinforces the standards in society that fat is bad. So for people who are evil people, there are many things to get them on, many things to point out about who, about how evil they are without having to resort to that. And I know that gets called woke one shit, but that's the truth, is that it's lazy. It is lazy to just resort to those kinds of insults. And when it's pointed out, I know that people don't like to feel as if they are being called out. So then they'll just double down and say, you're being way too woke. It's like, well, okay, well, just realize that when you make those insults, like actual insults, that is hurting people who are not evil. I mean, it's the same thing that I've tried to make the point on, that we need to stop saying, like, this is how you age when you're not problematic. I know it's another internet thing that people don't want to stop doing, but we do need to stop doing that because of what it reinforces. Okay, anyway, back to
free
this
toys
video.
or gift cards for toys for anyone who signs up for the giveaway, which will be linked in the description. Bless is a women-owned company that's all about wellness, and they
Last thing I'll say, if you want to get better at comedy, go watch Comedic Geniuses. Go watch actual comedic legends whose comedy was never like, ha ha fat, ha ha ugly. I promise you, there's a way to be funny. There's a way to be pithy, to be smart in your humor, and not resort to really kind of basic bullshit that you would hear on the playground.
really want to empower everyone to embrace and explore this. They also have an LGBTQIA
Just came from
section.
YouTube. Congrats on the baby.
You can click through.
Thank you.
Pride's not over yet. It's never over. My current favorite toys, the thump. This one does it all.
Thank
and
you
as the
so
name says,
much.
thumps. It uses Balessa's improved pleasure jet
The most
technology,
devastating roasts are
and it
also
fits
ones
in
that
a
have
very
to do with your
cute and
personality.
discreet charging
Yeah.
case. The Air Max Pro, which is the newest edition. There's no vibrations, no distractions, refined airwave technology. And as Balessa always knows how to do, it's ergonomically sculpted.
Sorry, she's
So
doing
you
her
can have
ad right
control
now.
from any angle.
Or
And
they're
then, of
doing
course,
their
you
ad.
have the Air Vibe Pro. They
Analog,
improve the
thank you for the 20
controls, got
months.
longer battery life, and a remote control. So if you would like to get free toys or gift cards for toys, click the link in my description because everybody who signs up for the giveaway wins a little something.
Philosophy YouTube has a video on YouTube about this entire conversation around gender affirming care, women not having children because of XYZ from the trans woman perspective. Also, such a cute video, tastefully done. Great watch. Didn't Philosophy Tube is Philosophy is she who was just on Game of Thrones? Which I have to say, I have not really been keeping up with. House of Dragon, I don't know. Season 3, y'all. I don't know. I fear I'm falling off a bit, but I thought she was great.
On anyway, yeah, listen, everything costs money. It's expensive to do everything. Everything is pricey.
I fell
You
off
can't
when
go
they did the first
outside
time jump.
without it being expensive.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real on House of Dragon. I don't even know if season 2 was it for me. I think I'm just kind of like begrudgingly watching it still.
Like, I'm saying this as somebody who lives in a neighborhood that is pretty like chill. There's parks, there's things to do that could be free or cheap-ish. But yeah, every time you go outside, it's something. And everything's getting more expensive, but nobody's getting paid more. When's the last time you got a raise, boo? Someone you know? Listen, I chose the artist life. I am doing pretty damn well for myself as an artist because, girl, it's not easy, okay? But yeah, I'm still financially scared all the time. And if I feel that way about myself all the time, that anxious financial albatross just hanging over my neck, why the fuck do you think that I would ever in my goddamn life decide to bring in another person willingly into that financial constraint, into that financial abyss, into that anxiety and fear? Why the fuck would I do some shit like that? Willingly? What the fuck? I am trying to take care of myself. And at the end of each month, the money is gone. If I had to add a whole other series of expenses, diapers, formula, although technically the debate of like whether you're not supposed to use formula too soon, and breastfeeding, my titties hurt all the time, the baby's biting on my nipples, my body's changed completely, I'm exhausted always, I'm with this man who don't even know how to fucking change a diaper, and I knew how to change one since I was 10. We're gonna get into all those things as well, but it's nightmarish to be stressed about money, to be broke and have to spend money on other things. Unless you want kids, right? We'll talk about that too. But I'm just saying, a lot of us don't want kids because we know being broke is not fun, and being broke with a dependent is hell. At least that's how we perceive it. Maybe some of y'all are doing well. If you are, or you're able to manage it, please let me know. Just because I'm saying it's hell doesn't mean I'm judging your life or anything like that. I'm just saying this is why I do not want to have kids. The money portion, number one. Number two, men are trash? Okay, first off, let's say this. This is a queer space. It's not complete. I was gonna say it's not solely queer. I have a large queer audience. I actually don't know. How many of y'all are homosexual? And how many of y'all are straight? Let me know. I actually don't know that demographic. Tell me, comment below. Okay, if you want to, you don't have to out yourself. Or maybe you want to on my Patreon. What's that? Okay, anyway, the chaos is back. Okay, but I brought all that up because yes, we know that you can have children without being in a heterosexual monogamous relationship. We know this. But I'm saying because women barely want to date men, it is becoming less and less likely that they're gonna have children with them. So that's a whole other section of the population that's choosing not to have kids. The hetero fatalist girlies.
Do I like men? Yes.
Can you explain to me what the difference is between queer and gay? I don't know if I'm the one to explain. My understanding is I think it kind of depends on who you ask to. Queer is a pretty umbrella term. And I think it's a personal thing. There's also, I think, a generational divide as well. I know there's politics too. I think yeah, it just kind of means something different for a lot of folks. Like you can be queer like women, men, non-binary, none of the above. Yeah, and some people are specific for what they like. They prefer to be identified as. You know, there are people who are, say, trans and straight. So they are, maybe they would use the term queer, maybe specifically trans. I don't know. Which word do you like most? For me. Personally, or what do I use? I kind of use I think I use queer a lot as an umbrella term. And then when needing to get more specific, I get more specific. Yeah, I am not the person to give a full answer on this. Yes. See, you have lots of answers in chat. Queer, I would say, generally recognizes in betweenness beyond the binary and sexuality, gender. Oh no, not you personally. Okay. I want to hear Austin's answers to that. I think a gay person can be straight presenting, but a queer person cannot. Yeah. There's also, I think, because queer was in the past used in a derogatory way, it's been reclaimed. Like, it's a term that's been reclaimed. And so there's a lot of people who see a lot of pride in identifying as queer. You can tell boomers by the way that they'll still use the word queer with a little tinge of phobia on the end there. There's an interesting generational aspect because for older people, queer is a reclaimed slur, but for younger people, it was more common to be called gay as an insult. Yes, that's true. Yes, older LGBTQ people who, yes, in their generation, queer with a hard Q, and then younger LGBTQ folks who gay was very, and F slur all around, but gay was like a pejorative. That's gay. They'll put emphasis on the R and say queer. Yeah. So I think it's again kind of generally considered to be an inclusive umbrella term with the history behind that word. So some see it as reclaiming it with pride, but then others on an individual basis prefer different terms, different words, you know. As a queer woman myself, I like to use the label for the past few years because it felt more right for me, but I agree it's kind of case by case, person by person. Yeah, so there's no one exact answer.
Do I like men? No.
They are begrudgingly heterosexual. It fucking sucks. They like men. They like.
Yes, but be aware of referring to older LGBTQ folks as queer because there's a lot of pain, I think, for them specifically in their generation with that term.
To sleep with men, but they actually can't stand men because
men will literally ruin your life and then ask if you still want to hang out.
So you're like, well, what does a man have to do with it? Lesbians will have kids and whatever. If you were supposed to have a partnership with a man and you're realizing things like reproductive labor, you're realizing things like the second shift, because some of y'all are queer, you don't have to worry about having to have children with men. You could just use them as sperm donors. You could use men that you actually trust and like and all that jazz, and then you don't have to worry about it, and you still get to have a baby. Wonderful for you. For the hetero fatalist girlies, yeah, girls, we gotta have compassion for them because they don't have choices like that. They like men, and unfortunately, the men are a certain way, and that way is, a lack of emotional intimacy and comprehension, a lack of political and sociocultural awareness and introspection, a lack of consideration, a lack of compassion. And men could argue that women are like this too, but this is why we ain't never gonna get anywhere with these damn gender wars, y'all. If we keep going back and forth like this, I'm just saying. But women do not want to have kids when they don't even want to date men. Where's the possibility of even starting a family when you don't even want to talk to men? The amount of women going celibate these days, more and more women talking about turning to God, girls calling it boy sober, like literally trying to detach themselves completely from men because they've had enough of it. And they're not going to go as far as the girls in the 70s and go to political lesbianism. Some of them might, but for the most part, a lot of them are just going to take their time and wait and then eventually settle. Sorry, I'm not going to say that. Sorry.
I have not heard that one.
All right, Elowen, you're not going to eventually settle. You'll hold out. You'll find yourself a good guy. Maybe you already have. You have you? You know what? I hope you have headphones on. Okay, anyway, if y'all remember when I was talking about I need to let Tony in. Hold on. Ugh. Okay. If y'all remember, I was talking about the 4B movement on my channel last year and how these women were doing the 4Bs. In Korean, it's 4Bs, but for us, it's like no sex, no. What is it?
비섹스, 비연애, 비혼, 비출산.
No sex, no dating, no marriage, no children. Because we've had enough of these men's shit. A lot of people like that video. A lot of people were commenting on that video. Lots of girlies found out that their boyfriends might have voted for and we're pissed about it. Like, yeah. It seems like the girls are closing ranks.
So the South Korea's 4B movement, I remember covering this. I think it was my first year of streaming, but a growing number of young women are rejecting a heteronormative life and the societal pressures and expectations to marry and have children and honor their husbands, yada yada. They are essentially redefining what it means to be a human being who is a human being first and then a woman, outside of the confinements of traditional gender norms and expectations. So it's complex, right? It's a complex thing. And it harkens back to Lysistrata, which was a Greek comedy back in, I don't know, a long fucking time ago. And if you remember that, I read that in high school. Maybe some of you did. Lysistrata is a story of this woman named Lysistrata who comes up with the idea to end the Peloponnesian War between the various Greek states by denying men sex. So she gets all the women to agree to this plan of these men no longer get to have sex with us if they are at war. And it works. It ends up, it's very successful. The sex strike is successful. Anyway, so the 4B movement is one that emerged in the 2010s, I believe. And it was when there was a surge of feminist activity and interest in South Korea, and then combined with the global Me Too movement. And it's still a movement that is continuing today. And South Korea is a state that has one of the worst gender wage gaps. I think it might actually be the worst when it comes to the global north, and very, very limited social mobility. So a lot of women in South Korea have said, okay, well, if y'all want us to be doing your little traditional shit, then fix these problems. Why do we have the worst gender wage gap? Why is there such little ability for us to socially move? Why are we expected to do all these things and are treated in very deeply misogynistic ways? There are stories of women who defected from the North being shocked at the misogyny in the South. They're like, damn, it's really bad over here.
Especially the straight ones, they don't want to deal with men at all, let alone date them, let alone marry them, let alone have children with them. So that also to me makes sense why the birth rate is going down. And I don't know, do you know straight people anymore? Where are they? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But also like,
I don't
if
know.
You're in Montreal,
Where
I'm not
are
kidding.
they?
Every American that comes here is like, this city is bisexual. It is.
You know what? We need straight representation. That's so true. Where are the straights? We need straight representation. We need straight visibility. Because where are they?
I would just say queer.
Stand
the city
up,
is queer.
straights.
But yeah, less people are straight. So that I think reduces your likelihood of having kids. Even though, yes, we know you can be in a queer relationship and have children. We know this. I've said this a couple times. But if you're queer as in not just like your sexual orientation, but the way you view life and your mindset, you might also then,
They're all at
because queer means
Hormuz.
weird, right? A little different, a little off the beaten path. You might also, or at least how I interpret it, have a queer relationship to the idea of having children. The normal standard by whoever's decree is that you should want children. You should want to have kids. And if you live a queer lifestyle, you're not trying to fit into the norm, or you've tried and it just don't work for you. Okay, the next one, Jesus, is trauma. I just generally call this trauma because, well, a lot of us are really unpacking the way we.
I remember the whole bear and man in the forest scenario. I remember that as well. I'm old enough to remember the bear versus man. And when women said they would choose the bear, men got very angry. And then women were like, yeah, that's exactly why. That's like last year.
Grew up and
I'm
how
old enough
our
to
parents
remember
raised
that.
us. And though it is not completely on our parents, the things that happen to us, I think, you know, the world is raising you just as well as your parents, the environment, all that, right? It's never just one thing. I'm just going to speak for myself and say I'm unpacking a lot of shit. And I want to deal with that before I have kids. If I have kids, which I don't.
Men. It's just amazing. The men versus bear conversation. And now one of the new things is alpine discourse or alpine divorce. Men leaving women on hiking trails, leaving them in potentially very dangerous situations.
I think I will. I'm more likely to adopt, honestly, because put my body.
Bears
I'm gonna talk about it.
literally don't
But
want to hurt
the way
you.
they talk about how millennials parent, trying this gentle parenting thing, trying to maybe, as some people might view it, overcorrect for how our parents raised us. The way so many of us are in therapy, trying to figure out ourselves. Self-help has always been a thing. Human potential movement. You know, people have always tried to better themselves, let's say. I think a lot of us are not only trying to better ourselves, but really unpack. And I don't want to say fix, but maybe fix/deal with. I mean, how many times has the word generational trauma come?
Yeah, honestly, how funny that the main guy's nickname in Obsession is Bear. Nickname, if you didn't know. That's not his actual name. But I just thought that was so perfect. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. I'm sure that was on purpose.
Up in past generations. Like, I feel like this generation, and I'm talking about millennials specifically, but Gen Z as well could fit into this. Well, I'll say Gen X and millennials. Seems like we're all very kind of like, all right, enough with the shits, okay? We're not doing this anymore. Your parents did the bare minimum. Human beings, in order to be better, we need to actually be nurtured. We are like plants. You can't just dump us in some soil and be like, all right, best of luck. I'm gonna come in and feed you with some water and some whatever every once in a while. For some humans, that might work. Some of y'all are devil's vine or whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called, but it's the one that's really hard to kill.
Go
like, it's the
Carolina
first plant I ever
Hurricane,
got,
save it
and like
3
you
months.
really have to try to kill that plant. Some of us are like orchids. You look at us wrong and it's like, well, that's a wrap. And when your parents haven't been nurtured.
Speaking of, my orchid died as Will's been out of town. The last petal fell. I was like, I've been taking care of it. And now it's empty. It's barren. Yeah. One thing I noticed as well with the subreddits that I've been on lately. Another one I've been on is, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's a subreddit for people who need like advice from internet parents. I think that's what it's called. And it's like, if you just need validation, or if you need advice, a hug from your cool internet aunt, that kind of thing. And on so many of those posts, the response being that encouraging the posters to get to form a support system, that nobody can do it alone. And that is the truth in life, is that we all need a support system. We need a personal community based support system. We need social support programs, right? The government's responsibility for caring for their citizens, that kind of support. We are social animals, and we do need to have that infrastructure and that support in order to make it through, Girl, are you okay? I'm good. I don't know why. I sometimes really love to see other people connecting, which gives me hope. And Reddit can be awful, but also sometimes you see people really being good human beings to one another. It can be very, very wholesome. It really can be. And internet parents is a very, very wholesome place. And it's wonderful to see strangers just offer that support to other strangers. And I basically just kind of reconfirm things I already know to be true by reading from other reading posts and comments from other people on these subreddits.
It's hard for them to know how to nurture. And so the cycle just continues and continues until somebody goes, all right, enough. The buck stops here. This is why I'm talking about the gender wars all the time too. I'm like, eventually somebody's going to have to
Also, we need more respite for moms who caregive for their children with special needs. Gosh, I know. It's in everything that mothers are expected to just nobly do their duty, that it is a gift. It is a wonder. It is the greatest thing in this world to have a child. And there is no room for honesty. There's no room for imperfections. There's no support.
Concede and just chill the fuck out so we can all get some shit done together. I don't know. We're gonna have to start seeing each other with a bit more compassion. But anyway, I think a lot of people in and around my age.
Are you aware of Jimothy? I just became aware of Jimothy. Let's look at Jimothy afterwards.
Are really sitting with the fact that we didn't get our needs met on an emotional level, on a nurturing level,
die for Jimothy.
This is how you do life level. It was just very much like, figure it out on your own, know how to take care of yourself,
I was tearing. I know I'm on my period, but I was tearing up earlier when I saw posts of Jimothy.
To work hard. We're going to make sure that you're clothed and fed and everything like that, but that's all we can give you, and that's all we got, and we turned out fine. And it's like, actually, I don't think it's it. Other bits of trauma of why I personally don't want to have kids.
No,
I know that when you give birth,
Google. Wait
some people say that after you give birth, something happens and you just like forget about all the pain. And I believe y'all. Fully believe you. Fully. If y'all have to sew my coochie up, I'm gonna be real upset. If my titties are always in pain and when I feed you, you are biting on them and my nipples are chafing, and then some 18 years later, you look at me and say you hate me or some shit. How could I not slap you upside the head? Do you know what I gave up for you? You little shit. And all I get is that face on your... Okay, anyway. But seriously, I'm not saying hitting kids is right. It is not right. It's actually really fucked up because they're the most vulnerable amongst... It's actually really fucked up. But I'm saying the knee-jerk response in me, after I sacrifice my body, not only for the months that I was pregnant with you, but then after having you and onwards, the fuck?
I gave you life. Oh my God. Whomst amongst us has not heard that from a parent? I brought you into this world. What? So you can take me out of it? You're going to do murder? What's the term? Would you kill your own murder? why can't I think of it? For killing filicide. You gonna do filicide? You brought me into this you brought me into this world. So you're gonna bring me out of it? My mom literally says she can take me out of it every time. Every time. Yeah, I didn't ask you, okay? I did not ask you to bring me into this world. I didn't ask for this.
Okay, let's be serious for a second and talk about the fact that in Canada, pregnant Indigenous women are 2 times more likely to die than pregnant non-Indigenous women. In the United States, pregnant Black women are 3 times more likely to die, 41 deaths per 100,000 births. And pregnant American Indian and Alaskan Native women are 2 times more likely to die in childbirth, 30 deaths per 100,000 births, compared with pregnant white women, 13 deaths per 100,000 live births. So that's the other serious part of it, is that the maternal mortality rate in Canada and the US for Black and Indigenous women, it's not cute. It's not cute at all. It shouldn't even be that high, but it's not lost on me. And I've
the fact that this happens in the great civilized West over here, where we're so much better than everywhere else in the world. It's like, and yet Black women are still dying at 4 times the rate in childbirth, that there is so much medical racism that still exists. It's not even taking pain seriously to begin with, and then having women internalize that, which is why a lot of women
talked about this in videos.
A lot of women die from heart attacks because when they start to feel pains, they don't call 911. They're told to just deal with the pain.
Before, women used to be midwives, still are, doulas, all that stuff, but it used to be more common. And then male doctors came in, and of course, in the States, a lot of Black women were midwives, and they were calling Black women unsanitary and saying that the way that they delivered children's blah, 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 blah. Ain't that some shit? That patriarchy is crazy. Because how you gonna walk up to me and go, I've never given birth,
We've quadrupled the infant mortality rate in Cuba due to the blockade. Yes, America is responsible for civilian deaths all across the world, deaths of babies, children. Pro-life over here, aren't we? We're so pro-life. We're the most pro-life of anyone ever to pro-life.
Had a child. I don't even have the organs to have a child, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell you that you don't know how to deliver a child, even if you have had children. What the fuck? Men, you're gonna have to be the ones to y'all have done too much. Y'all have done too fucking okay, I'm part of the problem. But it's not lost on me that countries that have midwives, their maternal mortality rates and infant mortality rates are significantly lower. And I'm not just saying, oh, it's only women that can help women give birth, but I'm saying that unfortunately, a lot of us tend to have more compassion and empathy for people that are similar to us. Lots of doctors will.
I mean, look, this is something I've talked about too, is that women, especially Black and other women of color who have really bad experiences in the medical system, and also historically there being so much trauma and violence around say medical experiments on Black children. I understand why women like that turn away and then turn towards alternatives, which can be very dangerous, or I'm not saying doulas, but turn to, say, the anti-vax movement, turn to things like Make America Healthy Again, people like RFK Jr. There are root issues at play that lends itself to why women from certain racial and ethnic backgrounds will, say, become anti-vax and turn away from going to a hospital because of their experiences with hospitals. And it's the fear of and then on top of that, compounding, it is the societal pressures on mothers and how the great fear that you are not living up to those expectations, that you are failing as a mother, that you are failing your child. It's like the natural, normal fear, I imagine, when you're a parent having a child to begin with. But then on top of that, the absurd expectations, and also the distinctions that are made between who's a good mother, what does a good mother look like, and who is not, what does a bad mother look like.
Think that women are just like complaining about something, over exaggerating their pain, all this stuff, when in actuality, a lot of times women are underplaying their pain and the symptoms and things like that. Maybe not every single one, obviously. And it's like, if you were a woman doctor, it's not to say that you would automatically completely understand another woman. Again, I'm not saying that, but maybe there's a bit more compassion there. If I see a Black woman doctor, I'm a bit more like, oh, okay, I'm more hopeful, because it's not to say that
They did have that scene in The Pit. They had that episode.
all doctors can't have empathy. The doctor that I see here is not a Black woman. It's to say that there's maybe a certain level of compassion and care that we have, that we bring in when people look more like us. I don't know why I'm still rambling about this. Anyway, I'm not necessarily an anti-natalist, right? But I don't know. There's something about bringing people in.
There's also the lack of information, right? Targeted communities that are targeted by online misinformation, and they fall victim to these disingenuous grifters who are specifically targeting them and turning them away from science and towards being a part of the anti-vax movement.
Into this earth that just don't sit right in my spirit. Because girl, look at this earth. I don't know if it's fair to bring another human in and be like, well, so how you like it? Like, what? My baby is coming out, like, what's going on here? And that's because of my own personal relationship with life and mortality and my existential dread and all that jazz. That's a me thing. But I think a lot of people also feel this way. I don't think I'm so unique in this feeling that, like, if I could choose not to be here, I don't know if I would choose to come back. Honestly, I don't know. I think maybe if I could just kind of like not be anything, never get bored, never have feelings, just rest, that might be nice. That might be nice. Ellen, cut it. I'm sorry. Now, something else that I want to unpack with all of this is that people have a certain vision of the types of people that don't want to have kids. Specifically, the types of women that don't want to have kids. The spinsters, the witches, the cat ladies, you know? We either can't have kids because no man wants to be with us. We care more about cats than children, and that's weird and freaky because we also femininely code cats, and dogs are better. So if a girl likes a dog, you know, there's something. Anyway, it is that deep, okay? Not everything is that deep, but a lot of things are. They also see women that don't want to have children, especially older women that are single and don't have kids, as
crazy
like
cat
witch-like,
ladies.
you know, witches are often depicted as eating children or hating children.
We should just all become witches. Who's with me? Who's with me?
Or harming children. Like, witches are always anti-children, and it's just so interesting that it's always like a group of bad bitches that are a little too old and a little too single, and we don't trust them, you know? And then of course the spinster, similar category as a witch, just a single woman. We really don't like a single woman. No kids, no man. What are you up to? What the fuck are you up to?
Look, I have talked at length about this show and recognized the problems with it, but I will say, when I was younger, Sex and the City was very formative for me. Seeing a show with four independent gals, had their careers. Don't ask how Carrie could afford the brownstone, but had lives. Yes, they revolved around men. But it was, for a while, women, four friends who were living in New York City, seemed like the greatest thing, the greatest life ever. Probably also that plus theater was like why I wanted to go to New York. I went, it looks amazing. And they didn't have kids. Well, they eventually did, but they were like fully in their 30s too, which is amazing considering how we have become more youth oriented. Like we're already obsessed with youth, but become more youth oriented in the entertainment industry. So these women in their 30s, Samantha was 40 ? And living independent lives and having big careers, big lives.
Few ways to make or have their own
Wonder how
money
many people moved
outside
to
of
NYC
marriage.
because
Some
of that?
unmarried
Well, I'm
women
sure a
were
lot.
able to carve out a professional niche in the textile industry, spinning thread for a living. Spinsters. Originally a job title, by the 17th century, so many unmarried women had found their way into the profession that spinster became a legal term for an unmarried woman. But thanks to its association with being an unmarried woman, making her own money, it didn't take long for the word spinster to become a derogatory term used to shame them for not being married by a certain age.
I'm 26, turning 27, and I'm not married.
What am I, a child
fear
bride?
I'm a spinster.
Do you guys think I've taken the bit like too far, or is it still funny?
Not the Twilight bag.
Is there any part of this
How do I? Where does one get that Twilight bag? Asking for a friend.
outfit that screams like that's too much?
Literally in my apartment, going to my cats. Literally in my apartment watching YouTube videos, yelling at the TV. Literally playing a mobile game on my phone. Most of y'all are probably playing Sims. Like, literally shopping on.
Has Caroline ever covered Radium Girls? I did the play Radium Girls.
Line? Like, that's what I'm doing. But anyway, even though those are the stereotypes that have been more prevalent, let's say, not just in books and media generally, but just in the way we talk about women in our relationships with each other in everyday life, because more and more of us are choosing not to have kids and it's not seen as a negative as much, I'm starting to notice the trend of the rich auntie.
I don't understand. We live a totally different life. I don't have kids.
Don't get married. Fuck till you drop. And then just buy a house.
Ironically, the myth of witch myth started because of women brewing beer. Yes. Isn't that very funny? This was an early smear campaign. Smear campaigns been around for a long fucking time. If you think smear campaigns are only a product of our modern society, think again. So this was, yes, in the Middle Ages, women who were brewing beer in a male-dominated field, because everything is male-dominated, they were smeared. There was like the rumors that started that they were using witchcraft. I'm like, why? Because the beer was better? Oh, this beer tastes too good. Surely there must be sorcery involved. Surely they must be using dark magic. Witch's brew. Exactly. Witch's brew. So if you have ever wondered where does witch's brew come from, it comes from the Middle Ages when women were making better beer. It was very popular. And so men decided to go engage in a smear campaign against ale brewing women and call them witches. And I'm pretty sure prior to beer brewing becoming like a commercial industry, that was something that women had done for and dominated for a long time. And then, of course, when it becomes commercialized, men are like, no, that is only for us to be doing. We can't have you in our field, in our trade. Yep, transition to capitalist economy involved a lot of witch hunts. Yes, which, who was it that was recently debating a 10-year-old at America's 250 celebration? I get them all confused. They're all the same. Charlie. Yeah, it was Charlie Kirk. Michael Knowles. Yes, Michael Knowles. I think. I don't know. Dave Rubin. Who cares? They're the same asshole.
The single woman who is actually wealthy, actually happy without having another attachment, without having kids. Tracy Ellis Ross has her show out, and so many people, I want to watch it actually, but
The broom comes from women setting a broom out the front door to signify that their shop was open. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Smear campaigns. Ugh. Been around forever. Can we sometime do a tour of the history and horrors that come from witchcraft things, like how they were thrown in water, and then if they drowned, they were human but dead, and if they lived, they were witches and burned? She's a witch, burn her. Yeah, I'm sure there is some YouTuber out there who's got a great video on it.
I'm Tracy Ellis Ross. Join me as I follow my heart. Oh my God. Go to beautiful places. Wear pretty clothes.
If you don't stop it right now.
Does she weigh more than a duck? Company.
Holy hi!
so many people are being positively impacted by it because they're women in their 30s, 40s, 50s plus, and they don't have children, they don't have a partner, or maybe the relationships that they have, they just have lovers and things like that, whatever. And maybe they are successful, have money, can take care of themselves, can do bad all by themselves, right? Even if they had a partner, maybe it'd be whatever, but especially if they don't have children, it's like they're actually not fulfilled. You actually can't be happy. There's no way you're actually content in your life. And when you get older, you're going to regret it, and this, that, and the third. Can you just humor me and believe that I might actually be okay not having kids? I know that cognitive empathy is difficult for a lot of us, but I need us to work on it more. And I wasn't saying that sarcastically. I meant that sincerely. It is difficult for a lot of us, but we need to work on it, because I can empathize cognitively with somebody who wants to have children, who loves children. Even if I don't understand it, I can put myself in their brain and go, okay, I can see all the reasons, or just listen to them explain why they want to have kids and take them at their word, right? There could be a part of me thinking, you're brainwashed, you're under spells, God isn't real, run! Right? There's a part of me thinking that. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. But I'm still able to understand where they're coming from and go, you know what? If you like it, I love it for you. That's not for me, but that is your life and good for you.
Yeah, it's called personal choice. But again, a lot of people who have children, it's really not it's really not a choice at the end of the day. Either combination of familial and societal pressures, lack of access to abortion. Remember that the most women who have an abortion already have children. This is not women who don't have children. It's those who do. And the financial burden and the other stresses of having an additional child is too much. And they worry about not being able to, it will be much harder to care for their other children and meet their needs.
Would just like for people on the other side to also see that. I'm going to take your word for it that you don't want to have kids, that you have no interest in it, you're not going to regret it, it's not your vibe, you don't give a fuck, whatever. And maybe part of me is still thinking, oh, maybe you will be a little sad or unfulfilled.
I love kids, but as someone whose firstborn was a stillborn, I really, really push for people to choose carefully and with their heart, not pressure from others, because it rocks your world good and bad. Yeah, and unfortunately, there are a lot of parents who did not want to have kids, who felt forced into having kids, who really, really didn't make an informed choice on it and lack the support. And that then is something the children have to deal with. And I'm sure there are many of you in here who that was your experience. But yeah, we are all sorry for your loss. And you are totally correct that with the circumstances that people do not have in their control, at least trying to make as informed of a decision as they can, because nothing is worse than a kid who's not wanted and it's clear that they're not wanted. Nothing is worse for a child. My grandma only had my mom because it was what you did at the time, and I know she's far from the only one who feels the same. Yes. So, not to go back to the subreddits that I've been spending a lot of time on, but one thing, okay, another subreddit was like about people who've chosen not to have kids. And in a, in a lot of the comments, there were both fathers and mothers, but particularly mothers, who said, I wish that when I was younger, there was this expression of freedom that I see more young women expressing. And I wish that I felt like there were other options for me other than having children. And I love my children. That's always like, make sure to say, love my children, love my child, but I don't feel as if I actually had a choice in the matter. There are more who regret having kids that we know of because it's not socially acceptable to say that. Yeah. That's why there's a subreddit for it. There's a subreddit for everything. Yes, regretful parents in order to support one another. I recently saw that there was a mod post that said, hey, this is specifically a subreddit for parents who regret becoming parents and are here to support one another. So don't come in here with your, but children are the greatest thing in this world. That's not what this subreddit is. Two things can be true at once. You can love your kids and also wish you hadn't had them. Yes. And I think I think it's a very heartbreaking thing. It's heartbreaking that there are so many people who are decent, like they're good parents. They try their best because that's all you can do. The best that you can. And yet so many of them who feel that they really didn't choose this, and also that they were completely unsupported. Yes, people can love and support children without having them. I sent this to Sam. She said no, but I sent her this screenshot. I platonically co-parent a foster child with my best friend. And she said, what if we got a fish? What if we started out with a fish? I said, okay, my track record with fish, not good. Always dead in under 3 days. Not my fault. Beta fish really don't last long. Just saying. This was when I was a child. I haven't had a fish in a long time. So I don't know. Very devastating. I love my niece, but I'm glad. Oh, also cutie. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the 10 gifteds. Thank you. I appreciate you. Also, I love my niece, but I'm glad she's mainly my brother's responsibility. Yes, that you get to give the child back at the end of the day. You're like, hi, you're not mine. So goodbye. See you next time. Yeah. So here's the thing. We do live in a modern society. It does not need to be structured around heteronormativity. I think people who raise a child platonically in a platonic relationship is a beautiful thing. Why not? If you have two responsible adults who are in a position to raise a child, there are children out there who deserve a loving home. And I really do believe in moving outside of these ridiculous confines in practically everything, right? Every aspect of society. We're so confined. We think like, oh, it can only be this way because it's been this way for a long time. It's like, no. What? Absolutely not. It takes a village, and that means even the people who like kids around for less than 1 hour, sometimes we like to help too. Yeah.
Lightly, or you just don't know what you're missing out on, but I'm still gonna be understanding of the fact that you just don't want kids. It's not my life. It's not my coochie. It's not my business. Imagine, y'all. The rich auntie stereotype, I think, is a much needed and a nice sigh to all the other stereotypes that we've had of single women over the age of
Just
30.
Friday
This
tonight,
fear
you know
that
it.
we have of
You
single
know
women
it.
over the age of 30. As we're noticing the interconnectedness of the gender wars, this trend of women not wanting to have kids is happening, but there's also a trend of men wanting to be fathers. And it's funny to me because, from my view, we're scared of single.
You mean Will Neff seeing a child and going, yeah, I think I want to have kids. Seeing a cute kid who's not his own playing in a park and going, yeah, I'm ready. Oh! How are ya? Are you ready? Wait, this is tangentially related. I saw a headline today that role model had said he dreams of being a single dad with a daughter to raise by himself because he thinks it would be fun. And the comment section was like, no! And Jamil was present always, 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 and also saying no. Okay, here's my thoughts on that. If your perspective on having a child, whether it is solo with somebody else, is because it will be fun, I don't know about that. And that's also, I think, what I was hearing Will Neff say on the Fear Ed podcast. So unless he is, planning an MPreg arc here, it is not nearly sufficient at all to go, I think it could be fun. That is not an informed decision. People only imagine the best case scenario. You have to imagine the worst case. What if they have terrible behavior? What if they have a chronic illness? Are you ready for those possibilities? Yeah, right. Exactly. And here's the thing. There is a subreddit too. This is the theme of tonight's stream. There's a subreddit I was on, and it was specifically about kids that are assholes. And these parents who, I do believe most of them, I'm sure, give or take, they're like, I don't know. I'm concerned. Almost sometimes it's like, oh, they're a serial killer. Oh my God. But it's like my kid is an asshole. And it's like, okay, I don't know if this is the no bad parent, no bad dog, like dogs, pets, only bad owners. I don't know if, like, you know what I mean? So clearly I'm on my Reddit arc. I know I need to stop, but sometimes kids are assholes. They can be assholes. I say this as someone who's a teacher. All right. Even the good students, which I hate to say too, but yeah, they're children. They're children. They can drive you nuts. Your kid can be a jerk. Your kid's an asshole. My kid's an asshole. I was told I hate you, Mom, and I cried in a bathroom. That's devastating. That is so devastating. And so these are all considerations that need to be made. Sometimes you will have, for a variety of reasons, a difficult child. And the other thing too is, don't think that it's just 18 years. It's not, okay? This concept of, oh, well, when the kid turns 18, that's when we're free again. No, you are a parent for the rest of your life. The rest of your life. My parents last year had maybe 2 years ago. 2 years ago, all of my siblings except for myself were living back at home again. My older sister, it was just a 1 month thing because she was moving apartments. But my mom went from experiencing sadness over being an empty nester when my baby sister went off to college. And then she and my dad got used to having the space. And then lo and behold, find themselves with all of the kids at home again. But this time, they're adults. And three of my siblings are still at home. My brother literally in the basement. Literally in the basement. So, no, it is not just until 18. You are a parent for the rest of your life. Whether or not your child is living in the basement.
Women, because we don't know what the men are going to do. It's not necessarily that single women are dangerous or anything like that. It's that if women are choosing to be by themselves or choosing to be queer or are queer, whatever. I know some people don't like the language of choosing, but if women are choosing to basically not date men, have children with men, keep them occupied with families, give men a purpose of taking care of their family, the purpose that Christian nationalist patriarchy tells us very aggressively. The man needs to provide, needs to have wife and kids. It's why you can't be in politics and not be married and have children. It's kind of creepy and weird if you're in a high political position and you don't have a family. It's a little off, right? We are worried that all the girls are like, no, thank you.
Yesterday was 4 years since my mom passed, and I miss being a daughter. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Because now what are these boys gonna do? And lots of boys and men feel like they don't have a purpose. The joke, oh, men used to go to war. Y'all, for empires that didn't give a shit about their bodies. Y'all think, come on, y'all think. Okay. Men used to go to war. Men used to have jobs and provide for their families and all this stuff. Yeah, okay, sure. They were also still miserable then too. But we only gave a lot of young men and boys their value in terms of what they could provide. We said, this is all you're good for.
You know what I was just thinking about? Speaking of men providing, not enough. I feel as if there was not enough attention paid to the comments that Shakira made over the Barbie movie. Sorry, this is very specific. I do think we moved on way too fast from that. I don't know if y'all remember when Shakira shared her thoughts on the Barbie movie, Greta Gerwig's Barbie. I did not. Okay, good. There's some of us in here. Let me pull up her quotes. My sons absolutely hated it. They felt that it was emasculating, and I agree to a certain extent. I'm raising 2 boys. I want them to feel powerful while respecting women. I like pop culture when it attempts to empower women without robbing men of their possibility to be men, to also protect and provide. I believe in giving women, like your ex, I believe in giving women all the tools and the trust that we can do it all without losing our essence, without losing our femininity. Oh, there we go. There we go with the F word. I think that men have a purpose in society and women have another purpose as well. We complement each other, and that complement should not be lost. I'm on tonight, you know, my hips don't lie, and we gotta be ladies, y'all. It's divine femininity. I'm in my divine femininity while my boyfriend is in his masculinity. It's so machismo-brained boy mom. It really is. What does that have to do with the movie? It's like, okay, your sons hated it. Who the fuck cares? Oh, it was emasculating. Where does that come from? Where does them thinking the Barbie movie is emasculating come from? I wonder how your sons are being raised. I wonder what gender standards y'all reinforce. I wonder. I like pop culture when it attempts to empower women without robbing men of their possibility to be men. What does that mean? What does the possibility of men to be men mean? God damn. Kartik. Oh, yeah. Ay, yeah. Yeah. So I was, just thinking about that again.
And being better than other men. And
Damn Barbie movie. Yeah. I want to hear what she thought of Obsession. She's probably didn't see it because her boys really would have hated it. They wouldn't have liked it. But I bet you she would have thought that well, I can't remember the main character's name. Not main character, Nikki. She would have been like, Nikki is the villain. Nikki is a crazy bitch. It's interesting. Someone who clearly believes strongly in gender roles would take her sons to see the Barbie movie. What did she think the Barbie movie would be? She said her mother-in-law convinced her to get a terrible haircut to basically make her unattractive to her spouse. God damn. Well, that's so messy.
Can't do that. We don't know what to tell you, girl.
That
You're
is
basically a
so
woman. We
messy.
gave men their value in what they could do for others and protect and provide, how they could put their bodies on the line. And then we said, all right, actually, we don't need any of that from you because the girls are doing it by ourselves because we were having a good time. And it was like, actually, we're good over here. We don't need that help. So I don't know what you're going to do, but best of luck, I guess. And then the young boys and men felt lost. This is only a partial explanation. This isn't the answer to patriarchy and male identity loneliness crisis. This is not the answer. These are just partial speculations. There are plenty of other factors that tentacle from patriarchy. Anyway, and now the boys and men are like, well, what do I do?
The boys
and the girls are like,
back
I
in
can
town.
do anything. More boys and men are like, maybe I want to be a dad. Maybe that is my purpose. There's a great Explain It To Me podcast episode that I'll link that's talking about this phenomenon of TV dads and how we grew up seeing dads throughout different generations and now why more men are choosing.
Oh, you mean like Bill Cosby?
To be fathers. And one of the reasons some of these men cite
America's
is a sense of
dad.
purpose, a sense of belonging in the world, a sense of knowing why you're here. And we're about to get real philosophical, so strap in. Being born is, as I said, traumatic, but living is also kind of like death by 1,000 paper cuts because a lot of us are trying to figure out what the hell we're doing here and why we're here in the first place. Being alive and conscious of it is torture. To me, sometimes, because it makes me so aware of the fact that I exist and I could be doing something with this existence. I discovered pretty early on.
In another life, I would have really liked doing laundry and taxes with you. Joy in the little things. Life as inherently meaningless, so we create the meaning.
On in my life that my passion was creativity. I love to express myself creatively. I love to perform. That was my way of understanding the world around me, of expressing myself, and of me expressing my little piece of the universe that I came from, right? A lot of people have different passions. Some of you are passionate about animals, about medicine, about horticulture. I was looking at my plants trying to find the word. I was like, it starts with an H. About books, about tapestry. There's sports, about so many things. So many of you are passionate about.
Some of us are very passionate about chips. We all have our passions.
So many things, and feel like if you can at least do this in your life, then you will have purpose made. On the spectrum of that, there's that. And then there's people that do not have a passion beyond wanting to raise a family. And I'm not trying to minimize it. I'm saying it's a spectrum in this case because there are also people that still have passions and also want to have kids. They have lots of passions, you know, so that's why I said it's a spectrum. But on this side of the spectrum, there are people that want for not that much with their life's purpose. I mean, not just things that they enjoy. They can still enjoy hobbies and things, but with their life purpose, there are people that are like, my life purpose is to be a mother. My life purpose is to be a parent. My life purpose is to guardian a child and usher them through this life. That is what I am here to do. I nurture, I care, and I want to do that. That's what some people like and appreciate. And that is very important. Caregivers are extremely important in this world. Are you kidding me? The world needs more fucking care. On that spectrum, for me, I'm closer to my work is my purpose. Being an artist and creative is my purpose. If I couldn't sing, I would want to die.
The one thing I would say is I think there's a difference. There's not for everyone, but say people who feel that their purpose is to be caregivers on this earth. So they go into, say, social work, for example, versus women who say, I am meant to be a mother, where what you have to then extract is the genuine desire that you feel to have a child, raise a child, and separate that from the pressures that are put on you from the moment you are born and how you are raised and how you are socially conditioned. Yes, the how and why you came to that condition. And I do know, I know women who express things like, I guess I just am going to be a mom, or I think I should just be a mom. And it doesn't always actually feel as if that's what they believe their purpose is. But also, I think one thing mothers, women who have children, mothers struggle with is feeling a loss of identity, that their identity is their child, their children. They are identified as mother, right? And I don't mean in the Nicole Kidman mother way, that they have a complete loss of identity because their purpose, as deemed either by themselves or by the rest of society, is raising children. Losing their name, becoming a parent, then they have a midlife crisis, then there's just a lot of emotional turmoil that can be produced from that. No longer themselves because they're just considered mom. Yeah.
And I'm not even joking. And
so the difference being that somebody who, say, goes into social work, that being a purpose, but also an industry, like a career field, versus being mom, where that's happening in a society that expects perfection and also does not give you any breaks. Like it is an impossible job. And it's not seen that way. It's not treated that way as a job. It is not. It is viewed as an expectation. And when it is an expectation, it means that, one, it is completely thankless. And two, there's no financial support. None.
Obviously, I'm adaptable, I'm resilient, I can do a lot of stuff, but like, girl, don't play with me. This is the thing that I'm like, this is why I'm alive. Being on that side of the spectrum and being that passionate about it, I know that there's very few things that come close to that. I love my family, I love my friends. When I'm with people in romantic relationships, I love and care about them, and they are always priorities in my life for sure. But
Marxist feminist critique, absolutely. The understanding of women's oppression being rooted in unpaid, expected domestic and reproductive labor, that women are never going to be free when they are trapped in this intertwining system of patriarchy and capitalism.
this is like a passion and a relationship to a thing on a level that I can't even explain. And I imagine a lot of people feel that way about their children. So for me, because I fall closer on that side of the spectrum of I deeply and passionately care about this thing and other things are priorities, but I want to focus on it. I know that I don't want kids as well because I'm not a monster. Like Christina Yang said, if I have kids, I'm going to love them. I'm going to care about them. I'm going to make them my priority because they didn't choose to be here. But that would mean that I would have to sacrifice all of the things that I love, not all of them, but a lot of the things, put on pause. Like there would have to be a certain giving of a lot of the things that I love and care about doing creatively with my work in order to prioritize the children. You can't have everything at the top all the time. And I know that I want to be a great artist and performer and creative. So having children, not having them is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And
I wanted to be a mom. Or wait, somebody said, I want to be a parent, but I don't think it or ever will be my passion. Do you need it to be your passion to be a good parent? No, but graphic design, passion. Graphic design should be your passion. No, that's part. That's the conversation we're having here. That this this idea of having children requiring a total loss of everything else in your life, and that you restructure your entire existence around kids is not something that should be perpetuated. It's good for your kids to see you follow your dreams. Yes, it's good for your kids to see you as human beings, to see you as human beings with lives, with interests. And that doesn't mean like, you know, dropping ditching to just be like, I'm going to Sardinia. See you later. Never. Dank Techno, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you. A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, die gallantly. Specializations for insects. Yes, I can do all those things.
also, I really value my freedom. And, you know, Nina Simone says freedom's no fear, right? It's no fear. To me, it's feeling the fear and doing something anyway. Having children is terrifying. People say it's like your heart is walking out there in the world. I feel a lot more freedom knowing that I just have to be responsible for myself and not other young, vulnerable people that I brought into this world. That is a huge responsibility. It's not one to take lightly. I don't take it lightly, and that is why I don't want to have children. I said F them kids, but you know the kids.
Do you know why a capitalist society wants people to reproduce? Because that's labor. Under a capitalist society, people are what they can produce, and produce while being severely exploited and underpaid. They want a never-ending workforce, more laborers to exploit. Human resource. Exactly. And that's why they want to keep the masses uneducated. They want to keep them uneducated. They want to keep the reproduction machine flowing, producing a nonstop supply of workers to exploit.
They're fine. I personally don't want to be around them, but like, I love to be a little auntie. I love to see a cute baby. I love all that jazz, but like, yeah, I want to be in adult zones and adult spaces. I just don't want kids.
The kids yearn
and
for
it
the
seems like a lot of
minds.
y'all don't either. So comment below and let me know what you think. And yeah, as always, thanks so much for being on the Patreon. I'm thinking about doing a movie analysis review thing because I can't.
Yes, having a baby called Going into Labor. Yeah, puts a new spin on that, huh?
Stop thinking about Bring Her Back. And I think
going into labor. It's also why they desperately want to rush towards AI robotics, since they see the writing on the wall of workers gaining class consciousness. They want to be able to just completely replace their labor with machines before then. Yeah, and figure out how to produce children via machines. Hey, women, you should be scared because as soon as robots can have babies, then you're worthless. We don't need you. Hee hee ha ha.
Do you love them or do you just want to control them? As a kid, I found it difficult to differentiate between platonic and romantic love. And as I grew older, I realized it was hard because there's no difference besides intention and choice. This isn't to say that romance doesn't exist, but that our mainstream understanding of what romantic love looks like is flawed. Since birth, we're fed this idea that our romantic partner is this magical person who single-handedly fills every single need and desire in our lives. But this expectation of mononormativity, that is, the idea of seeing monogamous relationships as the standard we ought to strive towards, is so deeply entrenched in our society that even the most critical people don't bother examining it. Indeed, as authors Easton and Hardy write in The Ethical Slut, how do you dig up and examine a belief that you don't even know you hold? The idea of lifelong monogamy as the only proper goal for
Y'all should see the invite.
relationships is so deeply buried in our culture that it's almost invisible. We operate on these beliefs without even knowing we believe them. But the standard didn't just come out of nowhere. Indeed, like most unquestioned norms that we take for granted, it's rooted in patriarchal, capitalist, colonial values. Monogamy is institutionalized through marriage, which originates as a capitalist system of a transfer of private property, wherein the property is woman. As Friedrich Engels writes in The Origin of Private Property, Family, and the State, in the transfer of ownership from father to husband, the woman becomes the slave of his lust and a mere instrument of his production of children. In other words, marriage is used to secure sex for men, and through the requirement of prenuptial chastity, men assured themselves of the legitimacy of their offspring and thus secured their property interest. And while relationships have hopefully progressed since the origins of marriage, what has remained is this prevailing sentiment that monogamous relationships are based not on the mutual loving decision to choose one another over and over again, but upon possession and control. And I see this sentiment everywhere in online discourse about relationships. If your boyfriend gets your friends flowers too, then he's cheating on you. I would never let my girlfriend stay over at a guy friend's house. And while you might think, hey, I'm not that extreme, still, I notice that even in progressive circles, there's a reluctance to consider anything beyond monogamy. People will be critical of other institutions and systems, yet when it comes to examining the rigid lines between the various relationships in their lives, people just unquestioningly adopt these social...
Yeah, I gotta keep it a buck too. A very common issue in relationships is a lack of meeting one another's sexual needs. Just not being meant to be with the same person forever. And cheating is something that happens all the time, and it's very common, which comes back to communication. Yes, a lack of honesty, a lack of expressing your needs, a lack of meeting those needs. So I'm not saying everyone needs to suddenly become poly, but there certainly is so much emphasis on monogamy being the standard, and anything that deviates from that is like wrong and bad.
Scripts, when in reality, it's your freaking life, and you can define your relationships in whatever way you see suitable. And so comes the alternative, relationship anarchy. At its core, relationship anarchy asks, what if our relationships weren't governed by social scripts? It's grounded in anarchist values like autonomy and anti-hierarchy, and it argues that people should be free to shape their connections however they wish. They can negotiate their own dynamics through open communication and consent rather than pre-established traditions.
I never want to be poly. I've seen my poly friends' Google Calendar. Not the Google Calendar.
The role of the romantic partner is seen as encompassing every relational need there is. But these roles don't have to automatically be given to just one person in your life. Indeed, previously, a lot of these roles were filled by one's community. And so no wonder there's so much dissatisfaction in modern relationships. We have unrealistic...
Look, you don't have to, it's not like if you choose to be poly that you have to be poly for the rest of your life. Like there are different structures, different strokes for different folks type of thing. And it's about communicating your needs. Okay. It's about what is going to work for you. And maybe then that changes. But a reason why so many relationships have issues and then end up in divorce, or people who are unhappily together for way too long, is because they don't know how to communicate, and because they are defining their lives via very narrow, rigid standards. Like the parameters are so narrow. And anyway, different strokes.
Expectations of the ways that our singular partner ought to remedy every
but it
social
requires
ailment we
very
have.
healthy
But the beauty of relationship
communication.
anarchy is that it tells us that we don't have to prescribe to these preset roles. It acknowledges the freedom we have to make intentional choices about what we want our unique relationships to look like. Now, I'm not saying that everyone has to go and start kissing their friends, but also, like, who decided you can't? Going on dates or sending flowers or sharing a home doesn't have to be something that we reserve only for a romantic partner. And when we realize this, when we realize that there's no limit to the love we can give to others, we unlock the full potential of our capacity to love. Do you love them or do you just want to control them?
Kiss the homies. Truly, kissing the homies. I once had a dude that my ex cheated on me with meet me at a coffee shop to tell me being monogamous was unethical. Some people take that shit too far, but there's a reason for some folks to do it for sure. Yes, look, that's true of everything. Anything and everything. People taking it too far. People being weirdos.